Thanks to everyone. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for a lovely venue and beautiful weather, which is not taken for granted here. This is a remarkable collection of people here in this room. NDI has been around for just about 35 years, 36 years. And really the foundation of NDI is the networks, it's the partnerships, it's the relationships we have with people all over the world. It's what gives us our strength, it gives us our potency, and I've met so many of those partners just today, and I'll meet more tomorrow. I want to just pay homage to everybody here in this room who have been partners. Thank you very much for that. I began at NDI myself as a junior staffer 25 years ago, just after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And those were the days, as the Prime Minister mentioned, I think you all, I remember those days very well. Tides coming in, optimism, if not triumphalism, a sense of inevitability about democracy. And in fact, we saw really outstanding work by my predecessors and what we tried to do in the 90s and 2000s to where we are today. And we should not forget this, that we are in a better place, that elections have never been more credible on the whole, that institutional and individual capacity has advanced significantly. System is open to more voices than ever, more women, more young people, more LGBTI, and other traditionally marginalized people are openly engaging in politics than ever before, though admittedly still a long way to go. Peaceful transitions became the norm rather than the exception and remain the expected path for political change. But I think you heard the word, which is a word I would use from those days, is perhaps a little bit of complacency crept in. So now we have some new developments. We've heard about those. Authoritarian learning, where authoritarians realize, well, maybe we can retain the form of democracy, but actually degrade it in fact. Assertive autocratic states, we had a briefing today about China and Russia. Those countries consider the spread of democracy a direct challenge to their interests. The emergence of new digital technologies, we all know that. We got a great briefing on deepfake and other new technologies in social media. Also, the failure in too many places for democracy to deliver tangible benefits to people, at least to meet their minimal expectations. People figured, I'm in democracy, then tomorrow I'm going to be as powerful and rich as the West. And I saw that even in the 90s. And then let's be frank, that today there's a failure of those who traditionally were standard bearers of democracy and justice, and they're now not providing that leadership or serving as a model, a beacon for those who struggle. So that all led to a regression of democratic change over the past decade or more that everyone is now talking about. And it has made us all a little bit of a depressive bunch. But, we have to avoid the manic depression. Just like we shouldn't be complacent that the tide is coming in, nor should we be fatalist about the moment we are in. It is no surprise. Human beings desire strong leadership. They may even have what Benjamin Franklin called a natural inclination to kingly government, and too often can succumb to demagoguery through appeals to fear and insecurity. It may be a natural human trait. Therefore, it requires thinking creatively about how to address the moment that we are in. For instance, double down on investment in women. Take advantage of the youth bulge in much of the developing world to invest heavily in new generations to develop from the earliest stages the new traditions, mindsets, and ways of acting and interacting that promote democracy, and ensure they have models and mentors that lead them down the right democratic path. We have to cooperate to address the challenges of digital technology and platforms to help companies, as we call it, design for democracy, and consider ways for democratic development to connect with more traditional development needs in order to provide the tangible benefits, economic and otherwise, expected of citizens. And in the process, I would say we have to manage expectations about how smooth, how fast, and easy this democratic or democracy business is. It is not easy. It is not smooth anywhere. And we realize creating new processes and new institutions has proved to be much easier than creating the new democratic culture, which is ultimately necessary. Finally, we need to know how to talk about this. Need to know how to communicate about democracy, as Dan talked about, why this matters, why it's in our interest, why it's not just an idealistic idea, but very practical, very real for the peace, stability, and security of the world. We have to not take that for granted. But as difficult as democracy is, we all know proceeding on that journey pays dividends unlike any other system, better than any known alternative. I just came from Tunisia with my board. The NDI board goes every other year to a foreign country. Went to Tunisia last week. Over dinner at the famed Bardo Museum, we asked people at 12 separate tables to tell us what is the one thing that was the most important product of the 2011 revolution. And the answer was literally the same in every single table: freedom. We're not going back. It was freedom. The most disappointing thing was the economics. They don't have jobs. They expected it to deliver sooner. But freedom was it for all of them. It was the most important product. I arrived just yesterday from Ethiopia. In the face of violence over the weekend, the tension there was palpable, but so was the strong commitment of its young people and others to continue forward toward a more just and free democratic society. So for every Orban or Duterte or Xi Jinping, there is a Jalabi, a Reza, or a Wu who are with us here over these 2 days. In fact, there's more of us than of them. We don't have to look far. For those who question human resilience and the natural human drive for dignity and justice, just look at what has happened in recent days in Istanbul and Prague, and in Addis, Khartoum, and Algiers, and of course, Hong Kong, which demonstrates that even Chinese people apparently do not believe in the Chinese model of authoritarian development if given a chance to speak freely. You have to get used to the fact that history never ends. The competition between autocracy and democracy will forever continue, as will the siren song of strongmen and demagogues who promise easy solutions to difficult problems and prioritize the glory of the state over the dignity of the individual. Both the opportunities and the challenges to democracy are arguably more complex than we have ever faced. And what is required, therefore, is what the Prime Minister suggested: it's neither complacency nor fatalism, but creativity, commitment, and consistent joint effort. And therefore, it is incumbent on all of us not to step back during these difficult times, but take more steps forward together with more commitment, more resources, and more determination than ever to ensure that we don't just celebrate moments when walls came down, but that walls, internal and external, were never built in the first place. So thank you again, Mr. Prime Minister, for the opportunity to say a few words, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you, Derek.